Yo, what's up guys? Teacher Paul over here, and today we are reacting to the Expat channel. This is a GDW. If you want to watch the video without my reaction, link is in the description. Go watch it, then come back to see my reaction to it. This is a video that is looking very interesting. It's a letter to the USA, and it says how we see the USA after living in Europe for over a decade. So if you are from the United States, let me know if this resonates with you or not, if you agree or disagree. But we're going to check out the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And let's not get too political in the comments, but let me know your thoughts and what the USA could do to be better or not. I don't know what this video is about yet, but we're going to check out it right now.
Have you ever noticed how much effort it takes to do anything in the United States?
I have. I have actually.
Living in Germany for over a decade, whenever we go back,
We realize we don't view the USA the same as we once did.
even mundane things like buying some food require more planning, effort, and time than you might think. Here in Berlin, say I need just some bananas. I don't need to wait until the next time I do a big shop. Chances are you don't live more than a 5-minute walk from your nearest grocery store. Done. There's no 10 minutes in the parking lot. There's no sitting in traffic. And I get my steps in. But it's not just about driving. It's about how we feel when we're around Americans, something that was once part of every day. With the emotional
See, that's one thing that I noticed, you know, when I was in New York, for example. I didn't see the same shops or like as easy shops like markets around, which here, like in a big city, you would see like every street you'd see like a place where you can go and buy stuff. Like the easiest place for me to buy stuff that I needed to was like, I don't know, like a 7-Eleven or like a pharmacy, I would say. I don't know. It's different. And it feels like you need a car in the United States to do everything. Like if you don't have a car, you don't go places. That's how I feel.
distance of being in Europe for 13 years, we're asking ourselves,
How have our feelings about the United States changed?
whenever I land back in the United States and I get off the plane, there's this overwhelming feeling that I always have of, familiarity, but also unfamiliarity, a bit of dread, excitement. And I think that anyone who's ever lived abroad and visits their home country can totally relate.
Every time I come to the USA, the first thing you're hit with is this feeling of kind of friendship,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And the moment you talk to that border guard, instead of just going through your paper and just be on your way, he literally says, "Welcome home. Hey, how you doing? How was your trip? How's it going?"
Or in Germany, that's kind of say, and they move you along. They look at your documents, they say, "Get out of my face." So I feel like in the States it's more personal, whether that be a positive or negative, but at least it's a little more personal.
It's not something you
That's something that is true. Whenever you go back to your home country, you feel like I'm home. It doesn't matter how long you stay away, even if it's a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, there's always this feeling, this is my home, this is where I'm from, which is pretty cool. And, this video, I don't think this video is mentioning like which is supposed to be better or not. It's just the difference between the countries. And like, I think Americans are really, really friendly in comparison to some parts of Europe, which it's not even about being friendly. It's about being more reserved. And I feel like, in many parts of Europe, a lot of people are reserved and they just do what they are there to do. Like they're not your friends, they're there to work, so they're not going to try to, know more about you. Whereas more on the Western side of the world, I feel like people are a lot more like in your business. And as I said, it's not that it's better or worse. It's just that people are different. And, I don't know. I kind of enjoy both sides of it. But let's keep going and see what they have to say.
get in Germany. How I see the USA in that respect is you feel like you're part of a community. You're probably saying, oh, politically, that's not the case in the US anymore. But I'm not talking about politically. Because, you know, when you bump into a guy in the street and you're talking to him, you don't know who he voted for or why. That doesn't matter at that point.
Whether it feels fake or real, that is something that I do 100% experience when I'm in the States.
I'm sure all Europeans
And I would love to know why things are so very political in the West, like so very political, because everything becomes politics. Even if like the other day I was on Instagram and I was watching a video of like I don't know, somebody eating steak or something, and then people were in the comments were like, "Oh yeah, good old times. Now that we can't eat steak anymore," like you know, and then they mention the president and stuff like that. It's so crazy. And I'm not talking about the United States in this case. I'm talking about another country in the Americas. But still, just a simple video of even a dog could trigger a political discussion in the comments. And I don't know why. I don't see that here around here. Well, maybe in London, yeah, I do kind of. But it feels like it's overly political. And I don't know where things went, you know, went that route. If it's always been that way, I don't know.
don't want to hear any more about the American friendliness, because I know a lot of Europeans, they look at it as if it's fake. They're not actually your friend. How could they be your friend so quickly?
When I first moved from the US to Germany, I really thought the first thing was like, I gotta get this language now. I gotta learn German.
Saying, you know, it's really awkward being at parties, trying to meet people, but you don't know what anyone is saying, so you just end up standing in the corner talking with the other people that don't know German.
We've all been there. One thing that I think we both learned was when we first came here to watch shows that we knew, you know, like Seinfeld, How Much Your Mother, whatever, Friends.
That helps a lot.
Subtitles on to try to learn, you know, a few words here and there.
Yeah, the problem was the subtitles weren't always accurate, and also it's kind of up to us to learn the pronunciation and actually remember anything.
Luckily, now there's a way better way to do this with something called LingoPie.
As you're watching a movie or TV show, you have complete and accurate subtitles. For example, in German, or we can.
Okay, we're gonna jump ahead because I'm not being sponsored for
Try
this.
LingoPie for more than half off.
But go to their channel, click their link, and help them, support them.
When I first moved to Berlin, you know, I wanted to meet people, and so I decided to go to a bar. I went around 6 p.m., went home at 12. I went to like 6, 7 different bars, and I came home that night meeting nobody. That is not a great feeling, especially when you're young, you're trying to find yourself in a new city, in a new country. And after only a week, I really thought, you know, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna have this grand old time, just like I can do in the States. But I went home feeling fairly lonely for my first week.
I have a
Wait, so you're telling me that making friends in the United States is you make friends in like these scenarios? You go to the bar and then you make friends? Is that it? I don't know. I feel like if you want to make friends, best way is school, gym, places where people just well, I don't know. Do you guys go to the bar to talk? I don't go to bars. I don't know. I have no idea. But for me, it's like a restaurant. You go there to eat. A movie theater. You go there to watch a movie, right? A bar, I think people go to to drink, or either you go there with a friend already. But do people actually go there to meet people that are already there? I don't know. Going to the gym, you go there to work out, but at the same time, if people are doing like sharing machines with you, there is like this kind of like friendship already, like idea that people are going to help you or you're going to help them. Like if you spot someone, or you know, I don't know, it feels weird like making friends at the park, for example, but it doesn't feel weird in the gym because it feels like people are already willing to help you, and you make friends because you're kind of like trying to reach a goal. And in the university, everybody's there, or school, everybody's there to learn. So you ask questions, you try to learn from each other. Then it's a more sociable place. But I don't know. I've never like. Maybe I'm not a very social person, but like if you go to parties, then fine. You go there with a friend, and I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not very good with social situations. Like, Maybe if you go to a match, a football match or something, then yeah, you can make friends there as well. But I have no idea how the United States is and how you guys make friends. I have no idea. So it's interesting to see how things are differently from here in the UK or from Europe in general, from country to country, I would say.
Positive outlook for the people. You know, forget the politics, forget all that. I have that outlook for the people, and that is what makes me smile, is walking around, having people who aren't afraid to talk to the person standing next to them or to come up and, you know, you're out there, you're filming a YouTube video on the street, to walk up, hey, what are you doing? Can I watch? This is so interesting. Whereas in Germany, people tend to stay away from each other and, you know, like try to, and kind of eye people passive aggressively from afar instead of going up, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? This is interesting.
Whenever I go out even with my friends,
I feel like I'm more European at this point then.
always in the back of my head, you think, I'm able to meet someone cool tonight, even if it's an hour or 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I have a cool conversation with a stranger, and that's kind of the spice of life, you know, is meeting new people and hearing their stories. And you don't get a lot of that living here in Berlin.
My wife even says that when I'm visiting the US, I'm kind of a different person, but in a way, she says I'm about like 10% more outgoing and 10% more friendly.
My personality can change whether I'm in the United States or in Germany. Not what I mean who I am as a core human, but even how I interact with other people. In Germany, I'm also very comfortable here, of course. It's been a long time. My German's not perfect, and I don't know all the nuance of the language, of the culture, and that's what I'm learning. That's why it is so fun to live abroad. I'm myself, but a little bit dumber when I'm here in Germany, which is also okay because I'm a really smart guy.
Not being afraid to talk to somebody next to you, to engage with people about random things. You know, when I pick up that vibe, I start being that way. And so when I'm in German,
But wait a second. If you are an American in Germany, people speak good English in Germany, and I think and I feel like they would be more interested in you if you were, you know, a foreigner in their country. And I think that doesn't that make it easier? Because you know, whenever I talk to people here, people are like, "Oh, where are you from?" Oh, and they want to know more about me, and it's easier to be friends rather than if you're just you know, fitting in with the crowd. The only thing is you just don't, you can't be shy, right? As I said, I'm not very sociable, but I'm not shy either. Like it, I think that's very European. I'm more of a reserved person. I would be, you know, I would be just watching from afar, unless something interests me. Like if someone starts talking about YouTube, that would be literally a conversation icebreaker. Like it would be something that I would be really good at because, you know, I know a lot about it.
Germany, I'm in Europe, I'm a little bit more reserved than I am in the US.
So now when I visit the US, you know, I really appreciate that warmth, that warm blanket that kind of cuddles around me that I'm used to, that familiarity that I just don't get here.
It's interesting. Really cool. Really cool.
One of the biggest things you look forward to as an American is your 16th birthday. You get your real driver's license, which is like the most exciting thing.
You get your freedom.
You love your first car, whether it's a 1992 Corolla,
95 Ford Escort.
or 95 Ford Escort.
Yeah.
So the car becomes a big extension of you as a human.
In general, you
Because you need cars in the USA, right? Like you need cars for everything you do. That's why it's your freedom, right? Here in the UK, public transport, even the prime minister sometimes, well, it depends on the prime minister, but even he, like I was in an event as soon as I arrived in the UK where the prime minister was there, and we actually saw that he was taking public transport to the venue. Yeah. And it's actually very effective and very efficient. So we don't really need cars. I'm the type of person that I don't really like to drive cars. Like it's never been my passion. Probably more of a motorbike guy or something. I don't know. Just cars doesn't really. I mean, I have my license, but you know, it's not my passion. But anyways, it's not something you need here in the UK. It's very different. And I don't think it's a big deal. Oh, my first car, like not a big deal as it might be in the US. So that's interesting. It's interesting to learn about this. And by the way, The only time I have been to the United States was in New York. And yeah, that was basically it, just for tourism.
Go everywhere, to go to the doctor's office, to go to school, to go to work, to go buy AA batteries. It's a whole process. You got to buy something. Let's get in the car, check the mirror, do the whole thing, drive half an hour. Now you're at shopping. Unless you live in the few exceptions like Chicago, New York, or maybe Portland.
Boston, maybe.
Yeah, but those are not.
Wait, you're telling me that it's even, because in New York I found it hard. So you're telling me it's even harder outside of New York? Like if you're actually in somewhere like, wait a second, because for me, look, I think there's a rule here in the UK that you can't have like the I don't know what the rule exactly is, but I think you can't have, or rather, you have to have a pharmacy within 100 meters or something like that in a straight line. So it has, you have to, or like the neighborhoods have to have that, something like that. I'm not sure, but every neighborhood has a high street. Like for example, here in my neighborhood, I have like a shop right in front of my house, right next. I have like three shops, three literal supermarkets, like one bigger than the other, three, which I just walk to and buy whatever I have to. Literally crossing the street, I have like a Tesco, literally. And then if I walk a little bit, like literally on the ground floor, there's a supermarket and there's a pharmacy, literally. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's just really, really, really easy for you to go into a supermarket, walk in, buy whatever you need. And there's there's a pharmacy on the ground floor of my building. There's a pharmacy on the other side of the road as well. There's like a small shopping center, and there are like GPs. GPs are general practitioners. You know, there are three on my road as well. So and there's a police station. Like, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? Everything is so nearby, and neighborhoods have high streets. They have a lot of things that are just nearby, and you can just walk there. Which I prefer it that way. But one thing I admired when I went to, was it New Jersey that I went to? Not sure. I think so. What's on the other side of Manhattan? Is it New Jersey? Not sure. One thing I saw was you guys have a lot of space, a lot of open areas, and that is, you have like wide roads. That is something really, really beautiful, because when you're in a place that is full of buildings, you get a little bit claustrophobic. And then when you go to somewhere like that and you're like, dang, look at that. It's like wide. You see things. It's beautiful. It's, you know, really, really relaxing to not feel so claustrophobic.
The rule, those are exceptions to the rule.
Living here.
Want to hear something you'll be jealous of? The grocery store in my neighborhood delivers to my home. I mean, here as well, like we get Amazon Fresh. You can get it delivered like the same day also, like within 2 hours. Or you can even use Uber Eats to get groceries to your house. I don't know if that's something they do in the United States, but here we have Amazon same day, where whatever you buy comes like in the same day, but you can also Uber it in, and yeah, it's a little bit more expensive though, but within 2 hours you get your groceries. So that's pretty cool. I don't know.
Boston, maybe.
Yeah, but those are not the rule. Those are exceptions
Hi,
to the
Ishan.
rule.
Living here, that all kind of changed.
You get used to public transportation. You get used to the train, the tram, the subway,
Cycling.
the S-Bahn. You know,
Cycling
within
to
a
work.
stone's throw of your house and your destination, there is some form of a train that is going to get you there. This takes a lot of stress off of you because there's so less to think about, and someone else is taking care of it for you. You can sit back, read your book, and all you have to do is just get off at the right stop. now when I go back to the US, I hate cars. You forget how tied down you are because of the car, and it affects you in many ways because your stress levels go up because planning is now huge in terms of doing anything. Like you're gonna go out with your friends to a bar.
Let's go to this bar, let's go to this restaurant. Where are we? Where are we gonna meet? Who's driving? Who makes sure they have a
Designated
DD,
driver.
a designated driver so they get home safe? And it just adds a lot of stress to my life every time I'm in the States, having to just worry about other people and then having to worry about how I get home or how.
Do you guys feel like you're more stressed in the United States or no? I don't know. I feel like the quality of life here is higher than when I used to live in the Americas, because it's so much, even though like where I come from, there are so like public transport it almost matches the UK. And we have so many things also. It's best of both worlds, to be honest with you. It's a mix of United States with London, and it's just a great blend of not needing a car, but also you also can have a car. You know, it's just a perfect blend. But the problem is the corruption, the crime, and stuff like that. That's why I don't live there, and I didn't grow up there, so you know, I don't feel like it's as I wouldn't like it as much as here. You know what I'm saying? And here I'm in the center of the world, kind of. Like if I want to travel to Europe, it's just a throne's throw away as well. But anyways, it's pretty cool. It's nice to have different places, because if everywhere was the same, it would be just boring. So it's really nice to see how the United States is compared to Europe, compared to, you know, anywhere else in the world.
Much money to spend on Uber, and it just becomes just a mountain of logistics.
We do have Uber, we have Lyft, we have, with an app, you can call a car to come pick you up. But if it's 2 a.m. and it's surging,
You don't
whatever they
have that
call
in
it,
the United
suddenly you're
States?
paying $50 to drive 20 minutes. Now, how can you afford to keep doing this? Or you get worried, are you not affording it, so you're getting home other ways, which are not healthy for you or for anyone else.
Exactly. You know, you meet a lot of Germans, and Germans take drinking and driving incredibly seriously. You know, driving, they'll maybe one beer at the very beginning and make sure to wait 2-3 hours before they start driving again, before they get into a car. Or they'll say, you know what, I'm driving, I'm not drinking at all today. And I don't see that same culture when I'm in the States at all. But like Alex, Jeff, we need to drive in America. Of course, we don't have good public transport. We don't have these things. And of course, I get that. I live that.
But why?
The States was built around the car in the suburbs. And you have these, you know, shopping areas and living areas. And you can't have them together.
I feel more and more
Why?
as I'm in the
That's my
US
question.
how
Why?
disjointed it is, how separate everything is. Whereas in Europe, you have shopping and you have residential combined. I mean, you have the stores just as the ground floor under of
That's
the
what I'm
apartment
saying.
buildings. You have apartments above, you know, and it creates
what I'm
much more of a
saying.
sense of community. The moment I walk out my front door, there's life because everybody's around. They're going to cafes, they're going shopping.
So every time in the States, I get
That's what I'm saying. In my ground floor, I have the supermarket, pharmacy, everything I need, to be honest with you. And I prefer it that way. But I also like the whole idea of getting out of the house, getting into a car. I like that idea as well, but I prefer it this way. And it's interesting how hard it is, like logistically, to do stuff. And also, like I pay £8 to £9 like whenever I need to go to, like if I want to go to the shopping mall, which is also nearby, and I want to go by Uber, £8 to £9. There's nothing over like £15. Like there's no way, unless I want to go to like to the airport, I pay 50 pounds max, £40 maybe to the airport. So, which is pretty far away. So I don't feel like I need a car here because of that. If I want to go places, £8 to £10 max, which is such a pretty good deal. But if I do want a car, then I'll just get a car as well. But we have public transport where we can go anywhere just by, you know, public transport. I don't know why the United States doesn't focus on public transport, and I don't know if it's too late now as well. but it would be very beneficial as well. But I think it's because the country is huge, isn't it? But still, it doesn't really make sense, because I feel like you guys could have amazing transport. Even in New York, the trains were not too impressive, but you know, it was a very good, unique experience being in New York, like very unique, you know. And I will come back, not to New York, but I want to visit other parts of the United States, because it's really a remarkable country.
Extremely frustrated where I have to just pick up one little thing. This turns into a 20 or 30 minute round trip of getting in the car, getting out of the neighborhood, driving down one of these big roads. I think if you live in the United States, you know what I'm talking about. I think every small town or town has this.
It's a long road, and on either side you have about, I don't know, 100 meters of just parking lot, and then eventually, way in the distance, you have a long row of stores, strip malls.
No walkability, no way to just pick up what I need to from home by walking there and coming back.
I just want people to know, especially in the US, I know these aren't your fault. This urban plan was set up long before most of you were born. It has nothing to do with you. This was back when it was decided that cars and the
I don't know if I
highways
could
are
live
now
like
gonna
that.
be the way we do things. So you all got stuck with it.
You could fix these problems with a tram, with a little subway, even in small areas. It could happen. And I personally want to live my life in the easiest way possible. Living in a city where I don't
Yeah.
need a car, I can walk places. I kind of have that.
One thing I'm completely
cycle,
used
too.
to living in Germany, living in Europe, is walking everywhere. Being out in the fresh air, being able to just go from A to B in a few minutes by a walk, you know, and just feeling healthy, being
Just to
out
buy
and
one
about.
thing
And that's something
at
that
the
hits
grocery
you
store.
with all the driving in the USA, is walking is hard. Now, my mom loves a good walk, and she does several hour walks every day. You can find paths and, you know, figure it out, but a lot of times in the US, going from your house to where the stores are, walking is kind of impossible or extremely dangerous.
Oh wow.
Because they're about this wide, and at random points they just end in the middle of nowhere, and you're kind of stuck because, again, they didn't expect
What about cycling? Do you have cycle lanes?
anyone to actually use the sidewalk, because why would you? If you were a cool, normal American, you'd be in your car.
And it just makes things easier. I don't have to plan as much, and life is just easy.
At the end of the day, we've learned that after living abroad for so long, it's okay to have a complicated relationship with your home and your new chosen home.
Exactly. Life's not good or bad, black and white. It's a spectrum. It's a million shades of gray. And everyone with that, please stay safe, stay healthy, and of course,
Stay thirsty.
that's it. Be proud about something that, you know, you had nothing to do with. I didn't choose to be born where I was born. It just happened to be luck of the draw.
These guys are so chill. I like that. And guys, as I said, this is not a video to say one place is better than the other. I think we all have good quality wherever we come from. And I think we should learn from each other and adapt and change and see how we can make our countries better. Because at the end of the day, some countries are doing it better than other countries are doing better than the other countries, and there's always someone who has something that they can offer. So we need to filter what is good and what is bad. It has nothing to do with culture. It just has to do with you know, what we can extract and learn from each other. And it's interesting because, as they said, one good thing, which is friendliness and, you know, just the sense of being home. And on the other side, infrastructure, which is not, you know, ideal if you want to do things fast. And I'm a type of person that I value my time, and I try to be more like as productive and as efficient as I can. Where, like, I'm never in a moment where I'm sitting and just doing nothing. I'm always doing something, thinking of something. I'm always trying to do something. And for me, sitting in a car for an hour, or even if it's just to pick up some groceries, even if it's just I just need just a bag, right? Go to a place, pick up something, and come back. I can't spend an hour with that because you know, I value the time, and I feel like That's the reason I always worked near to my workplace. I lived near my workplace, so I wouldn't need to spend time doing just doing nothing, just driving and just. I feel like that isn't a good use of my time. Um, so that's why I prefer it here. But some people like the drive. Some people like that feeling, commuting. Some people like it. Some people like the routine. So that's pretty cool. So wherever you feel more comfortable, that's where you should be. But I think we should definitely learn and try to. I know it's not up to us. I know it isn't. But at the end of the day, um, the future generations are the ones who are going to kind of like shape the country, right? So what we choose to pick from other countries needs to be like very thinking of the future and how to make countries better. And I think public transportation is a must. Cycling is a must. Pathways, because it's healthier. And at the end of the day, if you think about it, it all falls into one whole thing. If you have to go every week to pick up groceries, then you have to kind of like bulk buy. And in order for you to bulk buy, you need to think of expiry date. You need to think of, how fresh the food is going to be. And the industries, they start thinking about, how to preserve and make the expiry date longer. And they add more chemicals. And I think it's not very healthy, because if you have more chemicals, more preservatives, and more, techniques to make the food expire later, it makes it less and less fresh. So having fresh food at your arm's reach, walking there or cycling there ends up being a little bit healthier, I would say. So that's a good thing. That's one of the good things. But at the end of the day, it is a little bit more expensive also, and it's just a debate that keeps on like giving. The more you think about it, the more you're trying to think how things can fall into place. But it's interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It's a mark of the surplus society. Yeah, and I guess once you have more population, then you have to think of a lot of different things. But I still think even if you have more population, the public transport will help with traffic jams, because you have more people within like a tram, for example, or a train, rather than everyone taking their cars, finding a parking space. I don't know. But I think it's also cultural, because a lot of people prefer cars. They just do. But I would love to continue the conversation in the comments. And yeah, let me know what you prefer. Europe? What's your style? Europe or like the Western? Because I feel like more countries, not only the United States, more countries in the West, like the West, the Americas, they kind of follow the same structure. With that said, guys, see you on the next video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want me to react to more videos like this, you can either buy me a coffee, request a video, click over here to see more videos, or just suggest it in the comments, or join me on Twitch and redeem a video. Bye-bye.